So the other day I was doing some rehab with a patient, but I was like, you know what, we're gonna get out of here. We're just gonna go to my car and we're gonna work on some fine motor activities at my car. So we actually just spent a good 15 minutes unscrewing the license plate with a screwdriver, which was a much needed skill for this patient that I was working with. And it ended up being a really good activity for pronation, supination, grip strength, and wrist strengthening. And I think there's a ton of activities that you working on a car, whether that's just like fixing something or taking the battery out or screwing something in or loosening some bolts. Like there's a ton of activities that you can do, like working on a car, or even just like cleaning a car, like cleaning the inside of the car, washing the outside of the car. And I think a lot of times we have this mindset that like you kind of feel like guilty, like if you take your patient out to clean your car, because it's like you're doing yourself a service when you should be doing something for the patient. But I think this would actually be a really good activity for patients, and I think it would be more exciting rather than, grabbing a cone and stacking it over here. There's so many activities that you can do and make them actually practical and make the patient more excited to do therapy with you. All right, first off is going to be just taking the license plate off. If you can't figure out anything to do, get a screwdriver, bring it to work with you, and you're gonna take the license plate off, because you're gonna have them squat, or they're gonna either have to sit in a wheelchair, and they're gonna work on some wrist pronation or supination by unscrewing the screws out of your license plate. You can work on that. That's gonna be working on grip strengthening too. You're also gonna have some sort of fine motor coordination for this activity to be able to get the screw in there and hold it with one hand and screw it in. So it's kind of like fine motor, it's dexterity, it could be like a visual activity as well. There's so much that goes into just this small little activity. So that's like one simple activity that you can do. Another thing you can do is you can just get in the car and bring a Dyson vacuum with you to work and just start cleaning it out. Now, another activity that you should do is just working on car transfers. This is something that they're gonna need to do before they go home. Teach them how to get in the car, how to get out of the car, where in the car they should actually sit, what's the best seating arrangement for them, and any adaptive equipment. There's actually some really cool handles on Amazon that I recommend patients use when they're going to get into the car. They can be easily purchased for like $5 or $6, and they just kind of hook into the latch next to the car, and it just makes it really easy for having something to hold on to when they get in the car. That's another really good activity you can do with your car, is just practice transfers. You don't have to wait for the patient to pull up their car the day that they leave. Like, you can start practicing those transfers in just your car or somebody else's car. Maybe somebody else has a car that's more like your patient's, and maybe it's like higher or lower, and that would be an excellent activity that you could be doing with them. Say you're like replacing your battery, you could have the patient like get in the car, practice transferring, have them open the hood, have them transfer back into their wheelchair or walk over to the car, have them open up the hood. I mean, you're gonna have to know maybe a little bit basic knowledge, or maybe they already have some knowledge. Like, that's just gonna be a really good activity for them. That might be a little bit more stressful if you're concerned about like working with an active battery and getting electrocuted, but there's a ton of other things that you could do instead that are just like really easy to do. Now, let's say you want to like put a new stereo in your car, or maybe you just want to have them work on some like stereo wires and splice them together. I mean, if you had a new stereo, you could just take like the old stereo out, have them get the new stereo and the harnessing kit and just kind of splice those wires together. That's a super good fine motor activity. I mean, it's kind of hard for me sometimes to be able to splice those together. And this could be an activity that you wouldn't even necessarily need to do if you had like a new radio or something like that. This is just, you could just buy wires and have them practice splicing wires together. You could buy some speaker wires and just bring this into the gym. Have them take like a splicing tools, like splice the wires, There you go. So yeah, maybe you have some mods that you want to do on your car. Maybe you want to install like windshield wipers or like a battery or a light or something like that. This would be perfect. You could watch a YouTube video on it before you go to work, and then you could just have them practice taking the light in and out. I mean, you probably don't want to do something that's going to leave you stranded at work. Maybe battery's not a great idea. And then just having them stand at the engine. You don't have to do anything at all. You can just stand at the engine. If they're a patient with dementia and they used to work on cars, or maybe they have a cognitive impairment, you could have them label different items in the engine. Tell me what this is. Tell me what this is. This would be great for patients with aphasia, or maybe they have some difficulty with speech. You're going to say, okay, what's that? That's the windshield wiper fluid. Okay, what's that? I mean, you could go around all the different items and have them label them. That's a tire. That's a wheel. Like you could start off with like simple things like that, or you can make it more technical, like that's the brake fluid. So there's a lot of different activities that you could do around people with different disabilities. Maybe they can't stand at all. You could just have them sit in a wheelchair, unscrew a license plate. You could have them sit in a wheelchair, have them identify different things on the vehicle. So I think this is just a perfect idea. It's something that you already have if you're driving to work. Now, a car is not the only idea that's going to help improve functional performance in like a rehab setting. You could also do things like building a house, right? So what are the basic things that you would need to build a house? You could put a window frame together. You could install a doorknob. Take a door off, unscrew it, and screw it back in. Maybe something needs to be fixed in your rehab facility. Maybe there's a wheelchair, like most wheelchairs like fall apart. Have them get a screwdriver and start fixing the wheelchair, putting parts together. This is going to be a great activity for especially male patients that are used to working with their hands, or maybe they've worked in auto mechanics or something. I've had a ton of patients that I've worked with that just don't want to do anything. They don't want to do ADLs. They don't want to practice getting dressed. They don't want to go to the gym. If you're doing something that's actually interesting to them, like working on a car, this can be a little bit more engaging and interesting to them. And I think this can actually really improve your treatment plan overall. So anyway, these are just some ideas that I've been throwing together and been thinking about a lot lately because I did this with my patient the other day. I think it would be super cool to have a rehab that was just focused on these activities. Like you go to a rehab where it's like, okay, our rehab is fixing a car or putting a car together. You definitely would have to have someone have the knowledge of what they'd be doing or what they'd be working on, but you could have a whole rehab based on just building a car or building a house or just putting things together or fixing like parts of a refrigerator or an appliance like a washer and dryer or something. You definitely need the knowledge to be able to do it, but it doesn't really take a whole lot of knowledge for some of these things, and a lot of times it's just like watching a YouTube video and figuring out how to do it. You could actually have your patient do this. This would be great for people with cognitive issues. You could have them watch a video and then demonstrate how to do it. And then you could correct them in any way that you might think that would be helpful. So I hope this was just kind of gets you out of the mindset of, okay, I'm going to take my patient to the gym and we're going to work on elbow extension or wheelchair push-ups or something. Like, get out of that mindset and just try to do something a little bit more functional. Hopefully that's helpful. Leave your comments below if you have any other ideas like this that are more functional and engaging for your patients. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and please like, subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Hope you have a great day.